So Marvel's Thunderbolts, a movie that a year ago myself and others didn't have a shred of care for, has finally come out, and I shockingly have quite a bit to say because I actually really liked it. If you don't know, the film follows a ragtag team of the MCU's B and C tier characters, and Bucky, as they band together to save the world or whatever. And the reason why I'm so shocked that I actually liked this film is because I've been very skeptical and critical about it since it was announced. You see, as a recent convert to Captain America comic books, I started getting into Thunderbolts by proxy because they were created by good old Steve's biggest hater, Zemo, who I love. And in the comics, they're a group of villains pretending to be heroes, not a seemingly very late attempt to recreate the Suicide Squad of all things. And the more I read, the more I disliked the roster in this movie.
I don't really want this.
Even though they brought back Zemo in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, he is not in this movie. There's no Bullseye, no Red Hulk, no Songbird, nothing. Instead, we have Black Widow's sister, Black Widow's dad, who's a Captain America ripoff, a character from a movie nobody remembers, another Captain America ripoff, one of the most hated MCU adaptations, and Bucky, everybody's baby girl. But I kid you not, this lackluster lineup might actually have some of the best team chemistry in the entire MCU, maybe even on par with the Guardians. Seriously, it was pretty shocking. Especially since I didn't like some of these characters going in. I thought that Yelena and Red Guardian were just the half-baked quip machines from Black Widow, and any character that was in Ant-Man and the Wasp is already going to be on my watch list. But I can confidently say that Yelena may have become one of my new favorite characters post-Endgame. The writing for her just feels unlike so much of the schlock that Kevin's been cranking out lately. They really let her sink to the lowest that one of our leads has without any real external factors. She's not just sad because her sister died, it's a lot more complicated than that. Even in her jokes and quips, we realize that it's because she can't comprehend the good aspects of her or her life. She can only comprehend the horrible things that she's done and experienced. It's a lot more engaging than what we've been getting at the thematic level lately. This is also impressive because the superhero mental health movie from Disney could have very easily come off as pretty tone deaf. I'm also baffled that I actually think the same way about Red Guardian of all characters. So I didn't dislike Yelena before this film, I thought she was just kind of whatever, but I did hate Alexei in Black Widow. I thought he was just a tonal hindrance that was written to be too unlikable to actually come around to by the end. But he's actually given some levity here. As the trailer suggests, he's very much still the comic relief, but some of those standout scenes come from him and Florence Pugh acting their asses off for this movie, and it really did pay off. Shit, I'm a Yelena and Alexei fan now, aren't I? I also think that John Walker was delectably hateable here. I remember fuck all about Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but I was always a fan of his character. They also kind of undid his very lacking redemption arc at the end of that show, which I honestly don't really mind. I'm very okay with this character just being a complete asshole who will pull a gun on you if he's called the JV Captain America. It's a lot more interesting than the I was the worst guy but now I'm the best guy trope that I thought they were setting up for him. Just let him be a dick, man. But I do unfortunately think that Bucky and Ghost serve very little purpose in this story, and it does drag this down just a little bit. I thought that they had really great moments and something is set up for Bucky at the very end that could be interesting for the future. I understand wanting to give the spotlight to these other characters, but I feel like he's been pushed down to the side in every single project he's been in, even in his own damn show. And Ghost, I have no opinion on Ghost, they really didn't do much with her. But even though these characters feel a little underbaked here, I actually don't know if I would remove them from the lineup. They still played into the team dynamic really well, and I think they offer some very necessary visual variety to the cast because it really is just punching and shooting, man. But I will say that the punching and shooting is actually pretty good. There's genuinely only one scene in this entire movie that I thought looked rough, and that's because they actually went out of their way to do practical stunts and build physical sets for this movie, and wouldn't you know, it looks way better than everything we've been getting lately, especially after Captain America Brave New World having some insanely intangible green screen that took me out every single time. And I must say that the third act in this is one of my favorites in the entire franchise. Half of it is the team doing your standard superhero fare, but unlike a surprising amount of Marvel projects, they actually go out of their way to save civilians, which may sound like a given, but I feel like I very rarely see it anymore, and if I'm being honest, superheroes saving people will always work better on me than a half-baked CGI fight. There's a moment where a character is asked when he was the most happy, and his first response without hesitation was saving people, And when I heard that from this schmuck, I realized that we really do need more of this going forward. And the other half of the finale is a surrealist character study. Yeah, I'm not kidding. A lot of Marvel movies get labeled as something that they really aren't to make them sound better than they actually are, like a political thriller or an experimental sci-fi film. But here, the final act is solely character driven, and it gives a satisfying conclusion to them in this movie, or at least for the ones that actually had arcs. And the way they depict the surrealist nightmare was done practically. I deeply appreciate what Jake Schreier was able to pull off here, and I really hope that Disney looks at how well received this has been and lets the filmmakers, I don't know, have fun. And I also have to commend the editor Harry Yoon for this. He did Shang-Chi a few years ago, which was okay, but Beef is one of the best edited shows I've seen this decade, and he really flexes here too. The pacing in the edit is so on point, and it's constantly walking an amazing balance between the slower character moments and the really precise action. Definitely one of the MVPs here. Everybody give a round of applause for Harry, let's go! But I can't end this video without talking about Lewis Pullman. I feel like it's safe to say that everybody already knows he's playing the Sentry, so I'm not going to call it a spoiler. And when I heard the rumor that the Sentry would be in this film along with his evil second consciousness, the Void, I had a lot of questions. Sentry is one of the most powerful characters in the comics, so it was definitely an interesting choice to say the least, to put him against a team of people who, again, just punch and shoot. But thematically, this is actually the perfect film to introduce Bob Reynolds in. I won't give it away, but how the Sentry and the Void play into the themes of this movie and the characters at large is what leads to the final act that I just praised. Connecting the darker halves of the cast to the Void while thematically contrasting the more heroic side with the Sentry helps to justify this team's existence for me. And Lewis Pullman does a great job in this role. He's so endearing as Bob, but when he has the Sentry get up on, he really does have the presence of Marvel's equivalent to Superman. And as you see in the trailer, the Void is depicted as a literal living shadow, but a lot of the performance still bleeds through the CGI and vocal layering. I just can't remember the last time they nailed a new character this effectively in just their first appearance. My only other real complaint is that this thing kinda just ends. The Thunderbolts stop the Void and that's kind of it. It had a very MCU ending that sets up things for the future, which I won't spoil, and though I actually like the concept, the execution just felt really weird to me. And if I'm being honest, if you've seen the film, I actually think I would have rather had the post-credit scene be the final note the film ends on, because at least it would let the finale breathe a bit more. They really only wrap up Yelena and Bob's arcs while the others kind of get left out to dry until their next appearance. I only made this channel recently, and I was planning on avoiding Marvel for a while because I felt pretty agnostic towards the studio for the past few years, but damn it, between this, Fantastic Four, and hopefully a stronger second season of Daredevil, shit, they got me for the first time in a while. And even if Fantastic Four, Daredevil, or the other things that I already have very little hope for are bad, then I'm happy that we got this because we finally got an actual movie. For once. All in all, though I think some of the characters and conclusions felt a bit rushed, I still think that Thunderbolts was a pretty good time at the movies, so it gets a shocking 8 out of 10. But if Fantastic Four is bad, I'm actually gonna riot. Oh yeah, and Taskmaster was there too, I guess. Can't wait for more Taskmaster.